Happy Mother's Day. So by now you guys have all probably had the opportunity to wish your mother a happy birthday and tell her how wonderful she is. So now we're going to talk about some mothers that are cool for a different reason. Because they're real spooky. What's up, brothers and sisters? My name is Mike Kostreva. Today I'm doing a top 5 list. I usually never do videos like this ever, but this list was brought to my attention on Instagram today and I had to do a video. I had to do this. So today we are counting down the top 5 horror movie moms of all time. This is my favorite. These are my favorite horror movie moms. Just to be clear.
Number 5. Mrs. Loomis from Scream 2, who is the mother of Billy Loomis from Scream 1. As soon as she reveals herself to be Billy's mom, the audience says, oh, here we go, it's an old-fashioned revenge story. And she's just as psycho as her kid.
You know what makes me sick? I am sick to death of people saying that it's all the parents' fault. It all starts with the family. You want to blame someone, why don't you blame your mother? She's the one who stole my husband and broke up my family. And then you took my son.
Mrs. Loomis is extremely psychotic, so I had to include her on this list. She's just as crazy as her son was in the first Scream, so I had to include her. And she's got those crazy eyes down. All right, we're moving on to number 4, which is Amelia from The Babadook.
All right, spoilers for The Babadook coming up. Amelia is very unique because she technically created the Babadook because of all of the grief, all of the pain, all of the guilt, everything that she feels basically created this monster. A lot of people have different views on what the Babadook is, but technically she created the monster herself and she becomes this evil being.
I told you not to call anyone and you deliberately disobeyed me. Do you want to frighten Mrs. Roach? An old lady who can hardly walk. Do you want to make her sick?
Just for the record, I do believe that the Babadook is a physical monster, but I believe that it was created from all of the crap that was in this family's life.
I think that this is the only character on this list that has a happy ending in their movie. The ending of the Babadook was pretty satisfying. It had a good closure to the whole story. This character became a monster, and she was awful. I find that plot point very, very intriguing, so I had to include her on this list.
Coming in at number 3 is Margaret White from Carrie. Talk about a mom who has no business being a mom. I hated this biatch. The first time I watched Carrie, couldn't stand her. She was so evil. She's a religious nutbag. She's horribly abusive to her daughter, and unfortunately for her, Carrie's got powers. Stephen King loves to throw crazy plot elements into his stories, and he did it with this.
No, Mama!
Eve was weak.
No!
Eve was weak.
No!
Eve was weak. Say it.
No, Mama!
Stephen King always loved to make a statement, and here, with this character, he's making a statement about extremely religious nutbag people, and there were a lot of them back then, and there's still a lot of them right now. So, of course, Stephen King was so ahead of his time, and he loved to make a statement, and he made it with this character, and she was insane. You hate her character when you watch this movie, so she had to make the list. Coming up at number 2, this one, some people may not agree with this one because she's technically not in the movie really at all. Of course, you know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about Mrs. Bates from Psycho.
Psycho is a movie that's completely focused on the actions of Norman Bates. However, if there was no Mrs. Bates, there wouldn't be a Norman Bates, and he probably wouldn't have done what he did. The audience can clearly see that Mrs. Bates was clearly out of her mind and influenced her son in horrible ways.
They're probably watching me. Well, let them. Let them see what kind of a person I am.
To be 100% honest, if you guys do not feel the presence of Mrs. Bates in this movie, you're simply not paying attention. She was such an influence on Norman's life and pretty much drove him to insanity. This kid, 99.9% of the reason why Norman Bates is the way he is because of Mrs. Bates. All right, we're at the number 1 spot. I wonder who it could be.
Number 1 is none other than Mrs. Voorhees, Jason's mommy. This is one of the most iconic characters in slasher movie history. She has to be number 1. She's just a mother trying to avenge her son's death, and she secretly believes that her son communicates with her, and we didn't know it at the time, but she was right.
You let him drown. You never paid any attention. Look what you did to him. Look what you did to him.
I've heard some fan theories that say that it was the evil inside of Mrs. Voorhees that awoke Jason from the dead.
Thank you guys so much for checking out this video. I hope you have a happy Mother's Day. I hope all of you moms out there have a wonderful Mother's Day. Thanks for watching. Party hard. Boom shakaloo. See you soon.